Well,
Awesome.
I don't know how to get rid of it.
Yeah, well, you can't. It's just the sun coming through the blinds. That's all.
I look better glowing from the heavens, believe me, right now.
You look wonderful. All right.
It actually should be hell, but that's okay.
Well, it's nice to see everybody. I think we'll probably have a couple more people jump on, but I am going to kind of moderate the meeting for Lisa because she is busy with a client today. So yeah, as you come on, if you want to just put your information in the chat, that will be saved. So when we send out a follow-up email, that will be in there. And we will start, I guess, with, as Lisa says, the Brady Bunch. So I'll just kind of go around, and if everybody wants to take a minute, it's your minute, so do whatever you want with it. If you have something coming up, or just if you want to do whatever for a minute, I will. I'm going to start with Deb, who's also our guest speaker today for the Lunch and Learn, which I can't wait for. It's digital marketing and coming up with a plan for 2022, which is so crazy, like 2022.
I know. I kind of freaked when I was typing 2022. It's like, how is it possible?
Seriously.
But that's okay. The further we go, the further we hopefully get past some of the crazy, right? Yes. So hi, everybody. I'm Deb Gashel, the owner and creative director of Message Artist Creative Group. We're a content marketing agency that serves small businesses, women-led ventures, and nonprofits. And we help folks with anything content. So from websites to your business cards and everything in between, digital and print, we want to be the resource for you. So that's that. And I'm excited to be here and talking to you guys today.
Cannot wait. Allison, which is funny, your name came up in my house last night because we were talking about remodeling our kitchen, that we want to do it within like the next 2 years. I'm like, I know who to call.
Well, now this is when you need to start. If you said before Christmas, I would have been like, yeah, good luck. Hi, I'm Allison Guido from Elmar Building Remodeling Company. We are residential remodeling. We do everything from windows and doors through kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, and new homes. A few. So we work here on the South Shore. We've been in business since 1959. I am the general manager. And my big marketing goal for 2022 that I've already started talking to Deb about is I need to redo my website. So that's my big thing that I need to figure out what I don't know. So that's what I'm here.
Cool. All right, Marcy. And Marcy's actually going to be our speaker next month in December about emotional eating and all of that good stuff that comes with the holidays. Oh, you're just on mute, Marcy.
I do that every time. So I'm Marcy Desmond. I'm a certified health and wellness coach, and my focus is on helping high achieving women who struggle with emotional eating and yo-yo dieting. And it's interesting when you think about when you just talked about your marketing goal for 2022, because I'm in the process of, I have been doing more generalized health and wellness coaching focused on helping people transition to healthier lifestyles and healthier habits. And now I've wrapped my business under, this new focus of emotional eating and yo-yo dieting and something I call food empowerment. And Deb is actually helping me launch a new website, which I'm extremely excited about. So we're going to launch that at the beginning of the year. And it really, for me, represents the relaunching of my entire business. So very excited about that.
It's very exciting.
That's so great. I love it. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I love hearing the collaborations within the group. It's such a great network for that.
Yeah.
Lynn.
That sounds great, Marcy. Lynn Feingold, virtual assistant. I have a virtual assistant business where I help small businesses and entrepreneurs kind of get back on track. And if you're stuck and you can't see the woods for the trees and you're wondering what to do, I might be able to help you. So I've been meeting with clients this week to talk about their long-range plans for 2022 and launching all sorts of podcasts and webinars and all sorts of things. And I do all the support work on MailChimp and mailing lists and things like that. So Lynn Feingold, Virtual Assistant, Boston.
Awesome.
Oh, and I should say, join me Friday in Kingston, but I think we have a lot of people coming. I think we're expecting like 11 people.
Yeah, I saw that. That's really good. I think it's such a great topic, you know, putting your business and showcasing it out there. Because I think sometimes, I know for myself, I used to be shy about it because I didn't want people to think I just kept like boasting or whatnot. But yeah, no. So
I
wish
like to
here.
think I'm going to be bringing the everything I learned about being a performer on stage for 27 years, you know, to this conversation.
I did not know that about you. We're gonna have to talk about.
We'll talk.
Okay. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm with Shannon Donovan, Small Biz Doctors, and basically we build, rebuild, improve websites, and then more importantly, rank them so that you are found. Because website not being found is like a business card in the garbage. So we basically make sure that you get found as well. So if anyone needs any help with that, give us a call.
Cool. All right. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Braxton. I'm Communications Coordinator for Massachusetts Housing Partnership, an affordable housing nonprofit quasi-state organization. And I'm also the author of the novel, The Talking Drum, which came out last year. It's been winning some awards, and I'm so excited that it was featured at the Frankfurt Book Fair. And the board of directors from my publisher said that she brought 6 copies of the book, and they were all taken by very interested people. And there are some publishers interested in it too. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that.
That's so awesome. Good for you. And I know we still need to connect about having you maybe do a lunch and learn at some point early next year.
Yes.
Cool. Good afternoon, Sheila.
Hi, how is everyone? How are all of you, I guess I should say. So good to be here, Sheila Barber with Barber Home Inspections. My husband and I help people that need help with their home services, inspecting your home before you want to sell it, or as you're selling it, as you're buying. We have other services, radon pest inspections, and I also do dry nail polish, which is so fun.
I did a lot of that during COVID. It was fun. It looked perfect. Like it was good.
No smudges, no
Yeah.
dry time.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Sorry, I'm on my phone, my computer, just long story, but anyway, I'm on my phone. So I'm Lori Medeiros with Fairway Mortgage, and I am a licensed loan officer in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And I guess my marketing goal for 2022 would be to be more active on social media.
Awesome. All right. Oh, my screen just moved. Leanne, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Nice to see everybody. I apologize. Obviously, you know, I am home. And I actually just got off a plane from California, so I have a little jet lag. So I'm a little off this morning, but it's actually afternoon. But yeah, so I am the Director of Community Relations for Welch Senior Living. We have been on the South Shore. We have independent assisted living and memory care for over 70 years. So we're family owned and operated. I am 4th generation. So I'm excited to be here, meet you know, you ladies, and listen to. Was the question what we're looking forward to 2022? I missed it.
No, there was no question.
Oh,
Whatever you
okay.
want.
Just being out there, meeting new people, saying hello. Yeah.
Welcome. Is this your first meeting?
It is. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
good.
Yes. So, thank you.
We're
for
happy to
coming.
have you. And you don't look jet lagged or a mess. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Valerie.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, sorry for the lack of video. We're in the middle of an office move right now, which is really exciting. So I've been on mute this whole time, but trying to listen. We just have a couple people running back and forth out of certain offices in here to make sure we're packing things up. So So my name is Val. This is also my first meeting. I am Leanne's colleague at Welch Senior Living. So all the same good stuff she just said, independent, assisted, and memory care. And I have been with Welch for just under 6 months, I believe now, started this summer. So learning all the ins and outs and looking forward to getting to know folks in the industry and in the space. So Leanne's been doing a great job kind of taking me under her wing, introducing me to lots of folks, but I handle the marketing and communications at the corporate level for Welch. So just interested in getting to know all I can, have different experiences at several different PR firms and things like that up until this point. So just looking forward to getting started. And then after this is over, I'm going to again be just turning myself on mute just because there's a lot of activity happening here. And I think, I know we were saying there's just one thing to share about us. I'm very much excited to getting into a refreshed space very soon. A little bit of a facelift there. We've done a lot of great things from the marketing perspective lately, had a new website redesign that just launched a few short weeks ago. So really making some strides there. So lots of good things to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Good luck with your move.
Thank you. Really exciting.
All right, and I think that's it. So I will just quickly introduce myself. Michelle Werdeman. I'm a certified life, weight, and career coach. And I started my business a few years ago. I was in the financial planning industry for 19 years. I'm also a certified financial planner. And my focus is really, I coach women on kind of getting off that hamster wheel of life, that where you're just kind of being the reactor of your life. And I help people become the director and actually, you know, whether it's career or relationship, overall mental and like physical wellness, that's really where my area of focus is. And if you enjoy podcasts, or if you want to just check out a podcast for the first time, I do have one. It's called Boot Camp for Your Mind. Because every result we get in our life starts with our thoughts. So if you can learn how to kind of clean up the mental, I don't want to say garbage, but the mental mess sometimes that kind of keeps us back. I have a lot of good coaching tools on my podcast. So it's Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. And all right, so I think we can get ready for Deb. I'm going to put myself on mute here.
Yes, awesome. And my only suggestion, because sometimes I lose track of people once I start presenting. So if you have questions and you don't want to forget, feel free to type it into the chat, and then we'll catch them at the end. Or if it's something that you really like, I don't get what you're saying, just unmute yourself and Deb, stop, and then I'll be able to catch the question. All right, so bear with me while I share screen and get the presentation going, because it takes me a minute to slideshow from the beginning. Okay, and then I have to swap. All right, are you guys all seeing the actual slide now? Mm-hmm. Yes, perfect. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I am excited to be talking about this because this is really one of the biggest issues clients have. They're always, you know, what do I do? How do I do it? And it seems really overwhelming. And there is a lot that goes into, you know, marketing. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I'll highlight some of that, and then we'll dive into what I think is really going to be helpful for you guys as you set yourself up for 2022, which again, I can't believe I'm saying 2022. So marketing strategy is that overall game plan, right? And you really do want to have that. So you want to take a look at your business and take a look at your year and say, what do I want to achieve in my business, right? What's the overarching goal? And then that goal is going to help you determine what your marketing strategy is, because everything that you do in that year needs to support achieving that goal, right? So if you want, I don't know, 5 more clients, 5 more projects, you know, whatever your business is, then you have to say, how am I best going to reach them, right? And we all know it's a numbers game, right? We've all seen the funnels, you know, the sales funnels. You reach out to 1,000 people, you might get 100 people, you know, sign up for your email. Then you might get 10 people sign up for something else, and 1 person becomes an actual paid, you know, big client. So it is a numbers game. But the marketing strategy is where you want to start, because you're really going to take a look at what you're doing well. Can you leverage that? And, you know, there's no reason to stop doing what you're doing well. Keep doing it. And maybe you add a few other things and you play around with it. All right, the next slide is going to seem really heavy, but I just want to be clear. So you hear the word strategy, you hear the word tactics, and they are two different things. In a nutshell, there's a lot of things here, and I will create a PDF and share the slides with you guys, so you don't have to worry about writing everything down. But it's kind of nice to take a look at this list when you have a little time, but in essence, that last bullet that's in orange says it all, right? The strategy is intangible but necessary. It drives the tactics. The tactics are what are going to allow you to sort of determine what the ROI is, what the return on investment, like what worked, what didn't work. Did that take too much time for what you got back, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to put that in here, and then you guys can take a look at it later, because it's really kind of an educational thing that is behind marketing. But when we talk about a marketing plan or a digital marketing plan, which is kind of where we're focused, it's that, you know, digital marketing has become exponentially more complicated since the internet began. I'm old enough to remember when that happened. So, you know, marketing back 20, 25 years ago is really different than marketing today. And back in the day when people started getting websites, you know, you had, if you remember them, like the banner ads, email marketing, of course, was starting up. But now we have so many more platforms that we have to pay attention to, or choose, I should say, we have to choose which platforms we're going to pay attention to, because you don't have to do everything, and it's usually not recommended to do everything unless you've got the budget and resources that, you know, to support that. So putting together a plan that's going to cover everything, again, you're going back to those goals, right? So for example, a company that has a blog and regularly blogs can generate up to 67% more leads than a company that doesn't have a blog. It's just another way of getting your name out there. And it also helps position you as an expert in your industry, right? So you think about that digital marketing plan as the roadmap that you're going to follow, right? You've got your goals, you know where you're going to stop for the night, you know what you're going to do, you know where you're going to have lunch. It's that roadmap. It's the plan you're following. And if it's done really well, it's going to help you be more efficient and more effective in your marketing. And that's the whole point of that, is so you're not wasting time or money, right? And the little graphic there shows us all of these pieces that come into creating your digital marketing plan. We are not going to go in depth on every single one of these things today, because again, I want to focus on what I think is really going to be helpful for you in the immediate, and that you can implement right away with yourself as the business owner, and maybe not having all the support that you might need if you want to hit all of these other things. And frankly, each one of these 9 steps could be an entire presentation on their own. So the thing to remember, I always say, is, you know, yes, you have goals, but make them SMART goals, right? They've got to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? You got to know when you've got to get these things done, and how. And that also gives you something to measure. And you want to know who your audience is, right? So you might be a business that has multiple audiences. That's entirely possible. You have different segments. You need to know who you're talking to. So sometimes you're sending out information, or a campaign is going out to your entire audience. Your newsletter tends to be something that goes out to your entire audience. But if you've got a specific campaign because you've come up with a new program or a new product, a new way of working with you, then you're going to want to target specifically the people who are going to likely respond to that. Obviously, you want to know your budget. Now, if you're doing everything yourself, you might think, oh, I don't have to worry about that. But your time should be considered in there, right? So if you're going to spend 10 hours creating one email, what's your return on that? Is that really worth what you're doing? So you really need to know how much time and how much money you can spend on any aspect of your marketing campaign. You want to define your digital channels, right? So as I said earlier, there's tons of options today. So where do you show up? Where do you interact with your customers and your clients? Is it email? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it TikTok? Like, know where you're going to put yourself out there and where you're focusing your attention. And again, depending on who your audience is. If you like to play on TikTok, but your audience is on LinkedIn, you're not going to be using TikTok to talk to your audience, right? You're going to keep the personal and professional separate so that it makes sense. So what we're really going to spend some time on today is creating the marketing and editorial calendar, because I think this is something that you can implement really fairly easily, and you can manage it yourself if you don't have anybody else helping you out. As long as, again, you know your goals, you know your audience, and you know how much time you've got. I usually recommend for people that you have to put it in your calendar. Like, you decide how far out you're going to go, and you just plug in that time that you're going to work on it. So let's dive into this editorial content calendar, also called digital marketing calendar. And basically, back in the day, right, this is sort of borrowed from the publishing world, where an actual editorial calendar, it directed the high level content, or the high level strategy, I should say. And it was the planning piece of it. And then the content calendar would be where you could store and assign specific tasks. So if you have a post going out on Tuesday, right, the content calendar would literally have the content that is going to be posted, whatever graphics accompanying it, and who's going to do it. Most of us, when we're starting out, or we're, really micro businesses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees at most, you don't need to have it that complicated, because the bottom line is you don't have multiple people doing multiple pieces of it. So when you're doing it yourself, you kind of just combine the two. If you're a much larger organization and you are a director, well, then maybe you want to have that editorial calendar where you're sort of directing the where things are going, what are the themes, what are the topics, the overarching goals, and then your team is going to go ahead and create the content that supports that, and they'll actually implement it. So I hope that makes sense, the differences. But for the purposes of this discussion, for the most part, we're going to talk about having something that's combining the two of them. So why is this important? Because it can seem initially like busy work, or it can seem like, oh my God, this is a task I have to sit down and do, and it can feel even overwhelming to sit down and do it. The bottom line is there's so much to be done when it comes to marketing, and so many options, that if you don't have that big picture down, it becomes almost impossible, and inevitably you stop doing it, right? You just, I can't, and it doesn't happen at all. And then it really doesn't give you any kind of return. So the calendar really helps anybody helping you keep on track. It gives you the big picture strategy of the year. It allows you to keep your content in one place, because that is also a time suck. If you're running all over the place trying to find your, where's what and how you're doing it, you've got to come up with an organizational system so that everything is right there. And it's also really great if, like me, you have no short-term memory, and you're going, did I do that? Did I post that? I could have sworn did I use that quote before? You just can go back and you can look in your stuff and you can figure out, oh, wait, I used that quote, but it was 2 years ago. I can do it again, right? So it's just a matter of, it keeps you on track and it helps organize things. The core purpose of this calendar is really, you're asking yourself, how do you want to draw the attention of your current and future customers, right? Or you're looking to attract those customers to a specific promotion or campaign. So it really comes down to, deciding what your audience needs, what it wants, because you should be doing that anyway, right? It's like, this is the purpose of our being in business. What is the problem we're solving for our customers and our clients? And then you create that content that fulfills that, right? This is what we do, what we sell, every one of us, whatever it is that we do every day, the service that we're providing, the product we're providing, it's solving a problem. It's what our audience needs and wants. So all the content should support giving that to them, right? So let's look at some big reasons to use an editorial calendar if you're not already convinced. Consistency, it builds trust in your brand. That is a number one thing. People see you, they hear you, and most importantly, they don't see you disappearing. This, of course, is even more of an issue these days, what with COVID and businesses literally disappearing overnight, right? So they want to know that you're still around, that you're still offering what you offer. And studies have shown that consistency is way more important than frequency. So if you can only blog once a month, that's all you're blogging. Heck, if you can only blog once a quarter, right? The idea is you do it consistently. 27% of consumers will say that low quality or infrequently, inconsistently published content leads them to believe that the brand is out of touch or not up to date with the customer, right? It just seems erratic to them. An editorial calendar gives you a reliable system. This is really a big deal. I am a creative and I would fly off the planet without good processes and systems in place. I need the structure. Without structure, nothing gets done. So I know that this is really important. Not only is this helpful for what you're doing, it also can provide a great way to capture ideas. So we all have them, right? You're in the shower, you're on a walk or whatever, and you get this great idea and you make a little voice message to yourself. Well, where do you put that? What do you do with it? It may be a great idea that you can't act on right now, but 6 months from now, maybe it's perfect. But you need to keep it somewhere where you're not going to lose it. So that this can really help as well. And this is a huge one. I see this in action with myself even all the time. If you know what you're doing, you defeat that writer's block, you save time. You don't want to be like, I don't know what I'm doing, and you're trying to make it up on the spot. And not only are you making it up on the spot, now you're writing copy, and then you're creating graphics. It just, everything takes longer, and none of us have time for that, right? And the reality is most of our procrastinating happens when we sit down and we don't know what we're doing. So this is a really big, helpful way to avoid that. All right, another one, stay current, right? You can plan out content several months in advance and ahead of time, so you're not going to forget big things like company milestones. Maybe it'd be really cool if you have an annual anniversary post celebration or the federal holidays, but you can track things that are important. And you want to keep an eye on things too, because for instance, just think about January 6th, right? And what happened on January 6th. Well, you also got to pay attention because you don't want to be putting up stuff on that day when the country or your state or your community is in turmoil and your posts don't even acknowledge it, right? So we have to be aware, but it also is great because it can keep us on track by tracking federal holidays. I always say to everybody, first thing, go in your calendar, look up your federal holidays and plug them in, right? And decide which ones are you going to acknowledge? Because when you pull up, you'll also get all sorts of things that aren't necessarily federal holidays, but you can look up, there's religious holidays, there's community. I mean, there's a holiday for everything, right? There's a day for everything. So you decide what goes in, but it's very helpful to have that in bottom line if it gives you content, right? Oh, it's New Year's Day is coming up. Well, let me put up a post about New Year's Day, right? It's a no-brainer, but you're out there. You can better manage projects, things like emails and blog series, promotional campaigns, because there's multiple moving parts, multiple moving pieces. And by planning, you can also do a little more research. So say you're going to write a couple blogs or do some podcasts about, we'll use Allison's business, right? Something in construction. And maybe it's talking about materials, supply chain, challenges and how to overcome them. Like you could create a series of these things, right? Well, if you're planning that, now you've got a little time to do a little research and you can actually source, source link to, and so it just makes your blog, your email, whatever it is that you're doing that much more valid, that much more hefty, and you're that much more of an expert and helpful at it. So it can be really, really good.
Off the roof on the backside.
I'm sorry? Oh, was that somebody just went? Okay, no worries. All right. Another great thing is to organize the creative assets. So I mentioned a few minutes ago about, saving time because you're not searching everywhere for your content, whatever it may be, graphics, copy, whatever. You can kind of keep everything in one place, or at a minimum, links to everything in one place. So if you're going to put up a video, maybe, you've uploaded to Vimeo or to YouTube, but now you've got the link right in with the copy that you're going to be using in your post. It streamlines things, keeps things organized. And when you do start hiring out and outsourcing, You know, maybe you've got a writer helping you or a VA helping you, or, oh, you've got a video person helping you. Everybody knows where to put their stuff and it's all in one place. Lead generation. Talked about that sales funnel a little bit ago. This is, you know, this is the example, right? You can make sure that the topics that you're putting out there meet the needs of your target audience, right? It's about helping generate those leads. We're creating and cultivating relationships, right? You're building trust, and that's how you bring them back, you know, down through that sort of funnel. I don't know about you, but I see tons of people, they run groups and they're fun, you know, and they're fun. But I get questions like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite this? And that's great. And it's a way of engaging people if it works for the brand, right? It doesn't always work. It has to make sense, because if you're a business oriented, you know, brand, or you're serving a specific audience, you want to make sure, you know, say your audience are all, you know, roughly, they're lawyers and they've been in business 20 years or more, and you know they only work with people who have a base mean income of 500 grand a year. Do you think they're going to answer questions about, you know, what their favorite breakfast is? Probably not, right? So you got to know your audience. I'm not knocking that, because if it works for you and works for your audience and your brand, fabulous. It's all about finding ways to engage, right? But the idea is always keep in mind, everything you're doing, there has to be a why. Right? So that's where the lead generation comes. If you put out something and there's no why, you're not going to get the results that you need. You may get some fun results, but you may not get the results that you need. And this kind of goes right into the social media strategy, because it's a lot more, it's a little easier to create and understand what your strategy is and how it's going when you kind of see that big picture. And you can see how things are, you know, what's going where and when and to who. And you can pretty quickly then see, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Like, no, our big goal for Q1 is this, and this post really supports our goal in Q3. So like you can move things around so things make sense. And that also helps resonate with the audience, because again, it's like consistency of message and consistency of showing up. I've talked about this several times already, right? It saves time. If you're using a calendar and you're planning and you have the rhythm out there where you're, you know, okay, I'm going to work on 2 months of content at a time or a month of content at a time, really figure out in your own schedule, right? For me, I always plan that it's either on a Monday or Friday, and I allow it to flip a little bit, but always a couple hours, this is where I'm working on my own marketing, right? And that way, if I sit down and I know what I'm doing, great. So the first time I sit down, what am I doing? I'm planning, right? So that's why you want to start now, because you don't want to start January 1st and start planning. Oh, now you don't have time to execute until 2 weeks in, unless you plan for that, right? Maybe that's fine for you. So it's just a matter of understanding that you have to plan and then you have to execute. So you decide. I always think breaking it by quarters is kind of a great way to do, because 12 weeks is a kind of a manageable amount of time. You can kind of see what's going on. It helps with that awareness of you know, what's happening in your community, in your state, in the country. Does that matter for you or not? Sometimes it doesn't. So it gives you some space, but you need to schedule it. And then once you get in the rhythm, I swear it feels so much easier. It really does. And what's also great about this, and this is the writer in me, and the editor in me, is that if you write a blog, an email, a social post, right, you can do it and then give yourself a day, go back to it and proof it. Guaranteed you're gonna find something. And then you schedule it. But again, that takes a little bit of planning to make sure you have that time to do it. Or rather than wait a day, is there somebody who can proof and look at things for you? If you've got somebody on your team who can do that, another set of eyes is fantastic. And all of this, of course, comes down to helping reduce some stress, because nothing is more stressful than last minute marketing. It's just overwhelming. You're gonna make mistakes, and it's embarrassing. I don't know about you, but I get embarrassed. I mean, granted, again, the writer, right? So if I miss, you know, punctuation's wrong, or there's a typo, like, oh my God, mistakes happen, but nobody wants them to when you're putting stuff out and it's supposed to represent your company, because we all do it. We all subconsciously judge what we see. And the unconscious will do some funny and fun things with those impressions. So if a business comes off and you see mistakes or sloppy work, that's what it's going to come out. Oh, that they do sloppy work, right? So that's going to impact their interaction and their experience with you. And you don't want that to happen. So we're going to aim for less stress. All right. Now, another big reason is evergreen content. So you can recycle content. I used that example, did I use that quote before? You can recycle content as long as it's branded and it's not specific to a time frame. You can reuse it, right? I wouldn't suggest using the exact same graphic every Thanksgiving holiday. I would change it up a little bit, but the idea is that the messaging that you're putting out there, when it's specific to your industry and your area of expertise, that's evergreen. Like, it doesn't have a time frame. So something that you put out a year ago, how can you update it and reuse it? And there are definitely social media management tools out there that can help you recycle your own content. I know Meet Edgar is one of them. I've got a list later in the slides of these that you can see, but definitely reuse. And this is where having a system in place where you can go back and see what you did 6 months, 12 months, 3 years ago, super helpful. Because when you are sitting down and planning and you're looking at your goals again, they don't change dramatically, right? Our focus has changed a little bit, but the whole idea is in our business, we're still promoting the thing that we do, right? The thing that we know. So definitely look at your stuff that you've done before. Also, great way to manage blogging and podcast guests and things like that. So blogging itself can be overwhelming. It's a lot of work, which is why I often recommend to my clients, aim for once a month. Like, that's good, right? Until you have somebody to help you out, because it takes a significant amount of time sometimes. But what's great is that you can actually get some guest bloggers. You could actually be a guest blogger yourself. So if you invite somebody in who is compatible, to your, or complementary to your business, invite them in to do a blog. Look at that, your blog's taken care of for the month and you don't have to write one. So you can be very strategic about that, and it can be super helpful. The guest blogger gets more exposure and you get a little time off. So it's a win-win, right? So the things to include in your planning calendar are, some are obvious, right? The important dates, you put in the events you may have coming up. You put in, if you want to acknowledge seasonality, change of fall, summer to fall, holidays, which holidays you're going to put in. What are your themes, topics, subtopics that you want to talk about? What are the things that are going to help you meet your business goals for the year? You can, in your calendar, you're going to put in the timing. So is this daily, weekly? What time of the day is it going out? That's when you're going to be looking at your analytics, right? When do people look at my stuff? When do I get the best reactions, et cetera? You're going to put in where it's going, right? So maybe you have a graphic that will work great on Facebook, or you have something that'll go on TikTok, but you're not going to necessarily share that on LinkedIn. So you have to figure out what content's going where and why. And the timing, the tasks, who's assigned. I personally need to put my name and a deadline on the things I assign to myself, because otherwise I forget. So in my project management, I get a little reminder, oh, Deb, you have to do A, B, and C today. So super important, even if it's just, party of you. If you have a team, even if it's only a couple of you, you can identify who's doing what, who's the content owner, who's responsible. It just really helps make sure everything gets done. And you can even, again, depending on how complex you go, and this is really more pertaining to if you do have a team of people, even if it's only a couple, you can also say where things are. You can have a status to acknowledge, oh, I'm writing this, it's in progress, or it's not started, or oops, it's in danger of not getting done. Like, there's ways of flagging things so that you can then take action if needed. So the big question is how. There are a lot of different ways to go. It doesn't have to be too complicated, but there's manual solutions and software app solutions, and it's totally fine to start with one and end with another. The whole thing is to find one that works for you and for anybody else who may be helping you out. And the reality is you may have to experiment a little. So this is again why I say start early, you know, and if you just sort of decide when you're doing it and when you're starting. I definitely experimented, and I have had several iterations of editorial calendars over the years. So let's take a look at some of those. So simple manual solutions, right? Old school methods, so to speak. Paper and pen. You know, you can use a notebook calendar, a wall chart, a whiteboard, Excel spreadsheets, Google spreadsheets. The reality is, think about things like this. Are you a visual person? Does a checklist work better for you? And then what do you need to keep organized? And you want to think about, when I say what you need, it's literally like, what do you need? Things stay organized and make sense to you. So the naming conventions, how you name graphics, how you name the folders for each month or week or year, the timing of things, who's assigned what, like you decide what are the categories of information that you need to help you keep on track, right? And also think about things like, how often do you change your mind? Because this is going to help inform what solution you choose, right? And if there are steps along the way that you need to track, right? So this is more important if you have a team of people. And if you're relying on, you know, Mary Sue over here to get you content from somewhere, somebody, you need to know where things are. So if we look at something like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet, what's nice is that you can customize those to look like a calendar if that's, you know, better for you as maybe you're more visual. Wall charts, whiteboards are great because they can literally be right in front of you, so you kind of can't miss them. And if you work alone, it's fairly easy to move things around. However, updating something like that may take a little longer than if you went with a digital solution. A Google Sheet is fairly customizable and it allows for simultaneous work. So if you do have somebody else helping you, and a lot of small teams start with a Google Sheet because it's easy, it's very cost effective, and you know, anybody can access it. The thing is, again, this is where you have to decide, am I somebody who changes my mind a lot? Am I somebody who wants the flexibility of moving things around? You figure it out. I used a spreadsheet myself for several years before I went to any other solution. So here's a couple of examples of how an Excel spreadsheet could work. So, you know, you can see here, this is literally a list of, you know, what the project is, right? The content type. So you can, you know, press release to video, all in there. They don't have any owner's author, but they've got a space for that. They've got a priority. They've got assets complete due. So that would mean, okay, you need to have all the content done and created, written, photographed, whatever it is that you're doing, what's that date? And then where's the published date? And then they have a status category as well. Excel also can be formatted like a calendar. And the reality is you can literally Google this stuff and there are templates out there for you free that you can customize yourself. And I'll talk a little bit about some of that in a minute. But if you're more visual, you can maybe do stuff with color coding, and you have tasks, like you have the names of it and the dates. So again, it's figuring out what works. I generally recommend go ahead and, you know, download some templates and just open them up and play with them for a few minutes. Give yourself an hour to play with them, and you'll pretty quickly discover if, like, oh my God, this is making me crazy and it's not going to work, or oh, I think this could actually be a good solution for me. Here's an example of one where it's platform focused. So this is clearly would be somebody, you know, business that has a lot of social media. You know, everything from their Facebook to their email, Foursquare, all of these things. If that's something, you know, that you do in your business, this could be potentially a decent option for you. But if you're only working with 1, 2, or 3 platforms, this might not be the best way to go, right? The bottom line is there's tons of ways, right, to do this. And you can see here's a couple other examples. You know, you've got this one's a blogging. So it's like, here's the title of the blog, here's who's writing it. You can have a status. So a lot of different ways. And like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. Do a Google search and find a template, and then you can customize that. There's also, this came across as a colleague of mine, a designer I work with. She wanted a specific type of social media planner and she couldn't find what she wanted, so she created one. She's a designer and she can do that. So, but what's nice is that it's a hard copy thing, and it's got an annual overview, monthly calendars, weekly planning pages, content ideas, hashtag inspirations, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're someone who's more paper and pen person, this could be a great solution for you. Again, probably would only work if you're solo and nobody else is doing the working with you on the social media, because clearly this is something that's going to sit on your desk, right? But if you are somebody who likes to plan out this way, you could do this and then have things plug in. Maybe you have your VA plug it into your digital version of your calendar. Let's take a look at some software and app solutions. And the really big main benefits of this is that changes are definitely easier to make when you're digital. And everyone can be notified if you have multiple people working on your digital calendar. So Hubspot is a multi-level marketing solution. I'm sure all of us have heard of Hubspot. If you haven't, they're a very robust marketing, content marketing agency. They put out a lot of content. They put out a lot of learning. They put out a lot of products. So they do have a free option, a template you can download. I've used it. And it's a great place to start because, again, no reason to start from scratch in an Excel or a Google Sheet. You just, you can use this kind of thing. They are also, like, if you wanted to outsource to them or any other marketing you want to take a look at, they have a lot of different tiers, but they tend to work with people with a lot bigger budgets, right? So that's something to think about. But again, they have a lot of free content and free materials that, why not? If you've never done this before, it's a great place to start. The other thing to think about is there's also a lot of entrepreneurs out there who this is their business. This is what they do. They create your social media content, if you're lucky, their strategy, and they do the planning for you. So when you outsource, that's a great solution as well. There's a lot of social media folks out there. The trick with that, and this little warning, you want to make sure that whomever you do work with, especially if you're really handing over sort of everything, that they've been in business, they're vetted, and they're not somebody who's like, I'm out of college, I can't get a job, I'm going to start this job, I'm going to create this business, do social media, and then they disappear in a year and a half when they get a real job. I've seen it happen a lot. So, you want to think about that. If you are creating your content and, you're the one sort of driving it and you just need help implementing it, a virtual assistant is a great way to go because you can hire them and they're executing it for you. Because if you're hiring somebody to come up with your strategy as well as your content, that's going to up the price point, bottom line across the board, whatever your resource. But if you are creating the strategy and you're creating your content, but you need help implementing, a VA is a great way to go. And we have one in the group. So Trello is another software management. It's really a project management tool. And it allows users to kind of create lists. I liken it to, it's like sticky notes, right? You can move sticky notes around. So it's really easy to play with. And each column could be, you've got blogs, guest posts, you could, whatever you want to put in there, you can do. And there's some examples of headings there. Or you could go really, really simple and go, I need to do, doing, done, right? And you can move those little sticky notes around. I used Trello for a little while. It didn't work for me. It worked really great planning my Ireland vacation, though. I found that was really helpful. But from a business standpoint, it didn't work enough. I use Asana. I love it. It's my current choice for both project management, and I now use it to manage my digital content planning as well. I do use a paid version, but I do have colleagues and friends who use a free version with pretty good results. What I like about it is that you have choices on how you want to view it. So for me, with my digital marketing, my content marketing for my own business, I like this calendar view, right? That works for me as a visual. I can see where, oh, I've got these posts, and And because I do sit on the board for this organization plus another organization, I do theirs as well. It's easy for me. Then I use color coding. I'm like, oh, that's SSWBN. Oh, that's the Connect 24 Business Alliance. Oh, that's Message Artist Creative Group. So it's easy for me to see. But you can also look at things as lists, as a timeline. So there's different options for you, which I like. And just like any of the digital solutions, you make a change and it's sort of universal. Anybody involved is going to see that change, and it's recorded. I'm only going to mention CoSchedule because it does work inside WordPress, but I haven't used it, so I really can't speak personally to it. But I just know a lot of folks use WordPress, so this might be something to take a look at and see if it's something that might work for you as a platform to use. But that would just require a little bit of research. The other thing you can do, and if you're really new at this and just need a place to start, is get some editorial calendar prompts. There's a lot of people offering these type of things, and their sort of calendars already filled out with topics, and you can choose, right? You can pick and choose. Now, I'm not going to talk about that because I think that's just too darn silly. Or now you've got ideas, because the thing is, you're gonna buy these, and they're not that expensive. I can't remember exactly what I spent. I didn't spend over $50. I know that much. And it was content for the year, right? And plus it came with quotes and a few other things that I found helpful. Again, how much can you do? You know, where's your time being spent? So you have to take a look at that. But what's nice about this is then you end up with a lot more content than you're ever going to use. So you can be a little bit picky and choosy. And if you're going to post 2 or 3 times a week, you're doing phenomenal, honestly. So it's just a matter of, do I need ideas? Do I need something to help prompt me? That's what it is. And if you're somebody who works well like that, go ahead and grab it. This example that I had purchased just to check it out last year. That was last year, right? Yeah. Was for 2021, and it's from a woman named Angie Gensler, Gensler, and she's 1 in a million, honestly. Like there's tons. So take a look, and they usually give you some previews so that you can kind of decide if that person is providing content that you would actually use. Easy enough to do. And what's nice is there even comes with some of them come with Canva graphics. So you get a whole bunch of graphics, and all you have to do is go in and like brand them for yourself if you wanted to do that. So that could be a really good time-saving thing as well. Not going to go through all of these, but I wanted to give you the list. Like I said, I'm going to give you these slides after. But these are different social media management tools, because there's the content calendar, and then there's the tools that manage and execute, right? So it's really recommended to find a way to manage your posts and schedule your posts, because we all know if you go onto the social media platform, you're not going to just post 9 times out of 10. You're going to check your own personal stuff. You're going to end up spending 15 minutes if you're lucky, an hour if you're not. So if you can schedule your stuff so you don't even have to go onto the platform, that's really a good idea from a time savings perspective. And there are quite a few tools out there. I put in Canva. You know, it's a great way because LinkedIn doesn't have a scheduling. Like if you go into Facebook and you have a business account, you go into the publishing tools, you can publish to Facebook and Instagram at once with that tool, but you can't publish to LinkedIn. So I use Canva for a lot of my stuff, and I just schedule my LinkedIn through Canva. So that is super helpful. And each of these are going to have their pros and cons, and you just have to kind of look at them and decide what's going to serve you best, basically. All right, so I think I'm done here, and we can do questions as soon as I figure out how to stop sharing my mouse. Oh, here we go. My mouse was stuck and I couldn't get it over. Okay.
That was awesome, Deb. Thank you. I'm like so excited for next year. I'm like, lots of good ideas.
Great content. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot, I know. But it's, you know, it kind of, that's why it's like, I always say to everyone, like, there's so many moving pieces and you just kind of have to decide what you're going to bite off and chew to start, like it's so much better to be conservative and go, you know what, I'm going to post once a week. I'm going to blog once a month and do that consistently, then say, I'm going to post every day and then not post for a week and a half. Right. So it's the consistency is really, really important. So does anybody have any questions? I'm looking to see if
I think Sheila, you had a couple in the chat, right?
Yeah, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so what is the best social platform? Honestly, Sheila, it depends on your audience. It depends on who you're reaching and where they're hanging out, right? So that's where you kind of have to take a look at the demographics of who you're trying to reach. So like you have two businesses, right? You've got the home inspections and you've got your nails. Well, honestly, right away, I'm gonna go nails, get yourself on Facebook, right? Get yourself a little Facebook group and go for it. And probably Instagram too, right? Because it's visual, it's fun. You can, heck, you could even do TikTok stuff with the nail stuff, right? Yeah. But with your home inspection stuff, it's not that you can't be on Facebook. In fact, maybe you are, because who's your audience? Is it couples and families buying and changing houses? You know what I mean? Like, but your approach is different. You're not going to be in a group with that audience, right? You're going to be posting to the general audience. If you want to partner, maybe part of your goals are to reach real estate agents and partner with real estate agents or mortgage brokers, well, then probably LinkedIn is where you want to start having conversations. And the messaging is a little different. So it's really about who are you talking to and where are they hanging out is what it comes down to. And as far as how often you should post on a blog, weekly is ambitious. May the gods love you if you can do it. But I don't know about many small business owners who can manage that unless they're hiring out. So I really think it's better to do a well thought out blog with some really good information and do that once a month. And I think that's a realistic and manageable thing. I have a client, we're doing a quarterly blog. That's all we're doing, So I think monthly is probably, and decide, are you going to post it at the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, and just choose it and be consistent. And I always say, if you want that blog to go live on the 15th of every month, then you need to make sure that you're writing that blog 7 days before the 15th of the month, right? You want to make sure you have time to, one, do any research you need to, make sure your links are correct, proof it, all that good stuff. So there we go. And then
awesome. Yeah, because that's the whole thing is like blog, okay, then I'm upload block. Then the next question, oh, how often? Like I don't you're saying like I understand posting and stuff. You don't want to be like in people's faces and annoying. Yeah. You want to kind of, so then it's like blogging, like, oh, is it a daily thing? Is
oh gosh, no. Yeah. No.
Monthly or quarterly. I just don't want to feel like we're dead. You know what I mean? So I like
right. And that's partly with the planning. So before you even sit down to write a blog, sit down and write a list of topics. Anybody here, if you sit down and write down a list of topics that are pertinent to your business, you are going to come up with more than 12. I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. And that means you've got 12 or more blog topics, right? And the other thing when I say blog, if you're not a writer and you can't afford right now to hire someone, are you comfortable with video? Could you do a short video blog, a vlog they're called, And what's nice about that is if you do the video, there is transcription software out there that's really pretty reasonable. And so you've got your video and then you transcribe it and proof it before you put it up. And then basically people who don't want to watch the video will read the blog, but people who want to watch the video will watch the video. So you've got an option there. And let's see. And then what else is the question? Yeah, good point, Allison, on the home stuff. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly it. It's knowing where to go and where, it comes down to what's your objective and who you're trying to reach and where they are. But the big thing is before you start writing anything, before you start creating anything, create that list of topics, and then you take your calendar and you plug them in. And I have a blog on my blog about how to use a blog to get more social content. So you write a blog, you've got a topic, right? Inside that blog, you probably got at least one, probably more social posts by just taking out little snippets from that blog, right? And you just create a graphic and you're good to go. So there's lots of ways of streamlining. And, oh, Allison, there's a book link. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say too, like you were saying, like, okay, at the beginning of the week, get this planning, or would I do it at the end of the week? And so I found that my follow-ups, I would just be like, okay, it's the beginning of the year, let's do this. It's nice and slow, and then it's like, oh my gosh, super overwhelming. And then I found now that I follow up daily. It takes me like 30 seconds to a minute to go boom, out. You know what I mean? Mail out the door. I mean, might be going to the post office once or twice, like 3 times in the week, but that's okay because it's done. It's just like off my mind, off the desk, and it's in people's hands already.
Yeah. And that's where it comes down to. You have to look at your business, what's crucial in your business, right? For your customers. You doing home inspections radically different than me doing marketing communications. Like the needs are different. And just popped into my head, so I want to mention it. Kind of a general rule of thumb as far as your posting goes. Think about if, just say you were doing 5 posts a week, which is ambitious, but say you were. So every 5 posts, only one of those is a sales pitch, right? You're going to be posting helpful information. You are establishing yourself as an expert, as a valuable resource. You don't want to just be pitching yourself all the time, because then you come across as the salesperson, and nobody, honestly, nobody wants to be sold, right? They want you to solve a problem for them. They don't want to be sold to. So just keep that in mind as well. Cool. All right. We're actually doing pretty good for time, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Super. Any other questions? And obviously, I will get a PDF of the slides to Michelle when she sends out the follow-up with the chat and all that stuff too. So
that would be awesome. And I know we had Beth and Krista joined a little bit afterwards. So Beth and Krista, if you guys want to take a minute and introduce yourself, feel free by all means. You don't have to. I just figured to give you the opportunity.
Oh, sure. I'm sort of the random one. I live on the South Shore, but I run a nonprofit in California. But, more social media and more outreach all the time is great. So this was wonderful. And I look forward to getting the slides. So I had a little work crisis that was 9 o'clock Pacific time.
Okay. No worries.
And I'm Krista Manna. I'm the owner of KR Architecture and Interiors, and I do both residential and small commercial projects.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm glad you guys were able to join us. Did anybody else have any questions for Deb? All right.
Just to say how much I appreciate this, Deb, because this was a lot of information. You're right. It's like a lot of information, but I know that I'm going to be going back over it and reviewing it again and thinking about what I can implement myself to make my life easier.
That's the goal, right? It's everything that we do from a systems perspective is to make our lives a little easier. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that's it. If you guys haven't checked out, we have December's events on the website. I'm just pulling those up. We have it's kind of like a holiday mixer, but it's also a business after hours that's going to be at Lisa's house on December 2nd. And we're going to talk about kind of like what we're grateful for and thankful for in this time of year. So if you haven't, go check that out. And then our next, what do we have? Is it a quarterly? Let me just check if it's a quarterly breakfast or lunch. I think it is in person, virtual quarterly breakfast. Yeah. So that is December 16th. We do have the in-person focus chat. We already have a good amount of people going, so that will be awesome. And yeah, go on and sign up if you're able to come.
Awesome. All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
ladies. Thank you so much, Deb.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Bye.